Hey everyone, welcome to update number 2 of the Great Distribution Tool Debate. We are in the thick of it. At the moment, Barista Hustle has just leased a lab office space thing. It's the first physical space Barista Hustle's ever had, and I'm sitting in it right now. So this is the space. There's Aiden doing tea things. He's a bit of a shadow, as per normal. We haven't fitted anything out yet, obviously, because we've just moved in. We have a makeshift desk and 4 IKEA chairs. But we're moving quickly, and that's what I've been spending most of this week doing, is getting this lab off the ground so that we can run tests. We have made 1,200 USD in donations for this test so far, and we haven't spent any because I'm not counting labor and time into that. If we were, then we would already be zero. In terms of money as well, we have an OCD and a chisel from Ona and from Pullman. Thank you for sending those in, guys, and thank you for your instructions. We've also been receiving lots of emails about other methods for testing, MRI, sonar, X-ray. I'd like to not make myself sterile testing distribution tools, so we'll look into those as soon as we can, and I'll probably get back to some of those emails as soon as I can. As I've been thinking about this test, I've come up with a few more thoughts about it. So we need to make sure that the tool has obviously perfectly evenly sized cavities, or it's slicing perfectly evenly. Otherwise, it's not going to give us good data. So we need to do a few tests to see if the same segments are giving us the same volume every time. So we'll have to number those segments for the testing. And if there's an anomaly in terms of more or less coffee in one of those segments consistently, we need to retest to make sure that the tool itself is accurate. In terms of control method, initially I was like, oh, we'll just use tapping, but I don't even know if tapping works because we've never tested anything. So once we've done this first round of testing, we'll know what a control method is, which feels kind of weird, but I don't know if tapping works. I don't know if distribution tools work. We just need to do this test, see if it shows a discrepancy or something, and then we'll know what a control method is or not. We also need to figure out what the best method for using the tools is. If we're not using the best method, then we're being quite unfair. So although the manufacturers have sent through their videos and guides on how to use the tools, we don't even know if that's the best yet because I don't think they've tested it either. Otherwise, they would have sent us the data. What a pickle. So the tool itself, I've finished CAD and I've decided preliminarily to just 3D print it. So all the way down to the end, instead of using razors or anything metal, I just use ABS plastic, which is pretty strong, and I'll sand it down so it's nice and smooth. The other reason I wanted to have the tool completely 3D printed is so that I can release the file so that anyone in the world can send it to a local cheap 3D printer and start doing analysis themselves. Because the more people that do this, the more data we'll get, or at least the more conversation and knowledge we'll gain. So I thought that was obviously more optimal if we can get lots of humans in on this. I've had a bit of trouble shaping it to the interior of a basket because the walls and the corner radius is a pretty complex geometry. It's not just straight line and then flat. So I've made a silicon negative of the basket, which was kind of fun. And I've been measuring that to make sure that our tool sits perfectly inside. I've also started 3D printing just single blades to check that we're getting all the way down to the bottom of the basket. I've also, from a few of the comments on the forum, decided to do a second tool. So this tool I'm calling the annulus, and it's going to test that the density from the inside of the basket, or the middle of the basket, is the same as the outside. So the annulus and the inner circle here are both the same area, if you know maths and stuff. So then we'll be able to figure out if the middle and the outside are the same density, which means that it's also distributing outwards or inwards in a correct manner, which is obviously just as important as what the pizza slicer would show us. So I'm also going to turn that into a CAD file and figure out how to make that work. But I think between those two tools, we'll be able to figure out if it's distributing evenly in each direction and evenly internally and externally from the center point. And I think both those numbers are really important. So other news is I'm away for exactly 1 week as of tonight in Switzerland. I'm, funnily enough, working with Eversys on the distribution method for their super automatic espresso machine. So although I'm not here working specifically on this distribution project, I am working on distribution for the week, which is kind of interesting. And we'll be running some objective tests, and hopefully I'll learn a little bit more about it from that point of view as well. So I have no doubt that it will be valuable. But while the rest of the deliveries for the lab arrive, I'll be away. And then when I get back, we can really get stuck into this. And I'm super keen to see what happens. So once again, thanks for your support and your time. This is Matt signing off until update number 3.